Have you ever stopped to think about the butterfly effect? You know, the idea that something incredibly small, incredibly insignificant, can eventually trigger a massive, catastrophic event somewhere else? Well, imagine for a second that the flap of a butterfly's wings isn't happening in a rainforest. Imagine it's happening on a smartphone screen, a random joke on the internet, a tiny digital symbol. And imagine that this small, seemingly harmless digital moment ripples outward, building speed, building pressure, until it completely shatters physical reality, erasing billions of dollars and ending in an unimaginable, devastating human tragedy. It sounds like a movie, right? But it actually happened. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive into a high-stakes, real-world corporate thriller. It's a story about the weird, unprecedented collision between online internet culture and incredibly dark physical realities. We're going to connect the dots between an iconic store you've definitely walked through, a massive digital trading frenzy, and a total mystery that we are going to unfold together. But to even begin to understand this story, we actually have to start our journey looking up. Way up. Specifically, we're looking up at 56 Leonard Street. This is a staggering 60-story luxury skyscraper right in the heart of the Tribeca neighborhood in Manhattan. Now, if you look at it, you'll see why the locals colloquially call it the Jenga Tower. It has this completely unique, staggered cantilever design where the apartments literally look like glass blocks being pulled out of a massive game of Jenga. It stands an imposing 821 feet tall, just towering over the city. This isn't just an apartment building, it's an exclusive, highly sought-after fortress of absolute wealth. We're talking about an address where the penthouses at the very top have sold for nearly $50 million. It's a place built for people at the absolute pinnacle of the financial world. Visually, it is an absolute architectural marvel. But the story we're looking at today isn't about architecture. It's about what happened on the 18th floor. On a seemingly normal Friday afternoon, September 2, 2022, a sudden, tragic fall from that exact floor sparked a massive, sprawling financial mystery. A 52-year-old man plummeted to his death. The shockwaves of this event left local authorities, the media, and the entire global financial world completely scrambling for answers. Who was this man? And why did this happen? Well, to uncover what led to that terrible moment on the 18th floor of the Jenga Tower, we actually have to rewind the clock and look somewhere completely unexpected.
Part 1. A retailer's quiet decline.
To understand the tragedy at the Jenga Tower, we have to talk about a completely different, completely innocent American institution, one that I guarantee was a staple in your local shopping center. I'm talking about Bed Bath & Beyond. Think back to its history for a second. The brand started so quietly. It was way back in 1971, just a small, humble operation in New Jersey called Bed and Bath. But over the decades, the idea just spread like wildfire. It grew exponentially, eventually going public in 1992. And it became what the industry calls a category killer. It was the undisputed king of the big box home goods space. You know the vibe, the towering walls of towels, the massive blue coupons that came in the mail every week, the place where you bought everything from your first coffee maker to your college comforter. And this wasn't just a nostalgic store, it was a financial monster. By 2013, the brand had become a retail juggernaut at its absolute peak. They boasted a mind-blowing, staggering valuation of $17 billion. $17 billion. To put that in perspective, for 2 straight decades, they had literally zero debt on their balance sheet. That is almost unheard of in modern retail. They were, by all traditional metrics, completely unstoppable. But then, the world changed, didn't it? As the internet grew and e-commerce giants like Amazon completely rewired how we buy things, Bed Bath & Beyond stumbled, and they stumbled hard. Management panicked. In 2020, they tried this massive turnaround plan, attempting to launch their own private label brands and aggressively moving away from the national name brands that people actually came to the store to buy. It was a complete disaster. It backfired terribly. Right as they did this, the world was hit with severe supply chain bottlenecks. The company started bleeding millions of dollars simply because they couldn't get products onto the shelves. Items were constantly out of stock. To survive this self-inflicted wound, they were forced to take on immense, crushing debt. By early 2022, the unstoppable giant had entered a severe terminal financial crisis. Part 2. Enter the Meme King. So by the start of 2022, things were looking incredibly grim. Wall Street smelled blood in the water. The stock was heavily shorted by huge institutional investors who were literally betting millions that the company was going to go bankrupt. And it probably would have just quietly faded away, except a very, very unexpected player entered the chat and completely hijacked the trajectory of the company. That player was Cohen. Now, if you know internet finance, you know that name.
Cohen is a billionaire. He's the co-founder of the wildly successful online pet supply company Chewy. He's also the chairman of GameStop. And in March of 2022, out of nowhere, Cohen bought a massive 9.8% stake in Bed Bath & Beyond. Overnight, with just that one purchase, his involvement instantly turned this failing, debt-ridden, boring home goods store into the internet's newest, most explosive meme stock weapon.
Now, let's talk about the internet's reaction. It went absolutely wild. Specifically, massive retail trading forums like Reddit's WallStreetBets. These online communities had previously crowned Cohen as their meme king, and they watched his every single move like a hawk. They analyzed his posts looking for cryptic signs, hidden messages, anything that would give them an edge. In this hyper-specific meme stock culture, there is one symbol that matters more than anything else: the moon emoji. It's a rallying cry. When a meme king posts a moon, it signals to millions of everyday retail investors that a stock is about to go to the moon, meaning its price is going to absolutely skyrocket, and it's time to buy in immediately. And then it happened. On August 12th, 2022, a financial news outlet posted a tweet with an article completely trashing Bed Bath & Beyond's valuation. The tweet featured a stock photo of a woman pushing a totally full shopping cart. Ryan Cohen replied to that specific tweet with just one short, simple sentence: "At least her cart is full." And then he added that exact moon emoji. Just one little yellow digital face. But that single tweet was interpreted by the internet as a definitive, screaming buy signal. It was like dropping a match in a fireworks factory. It fueled an absolute retail trading frenzy. A rapid, violently compounding surge in the stock's price began as thousands and thousands of everyday investors scrambled to buy shares, desperate not to miss out on the ride to the moon. Part 3, the pump and dump. This brings us to the real core of the drama. This is where the intense, fun, meme-filled online hype violently collided with devastating, real-world financial maneuvers happening behind closed corporate doors. Look at this timeline, because the numbers are just insane. On July 1st, the stock was practically dead, languishing at just $4.38 a share. But following Cohen's moon emoji tweet and the massive internet hype train that followed, the stock rocketed up to an unbelievable $30 a share by August 17th. It was a miracle. People were making fortunes on paper. But then, the very next day, the music just stopped. Completely out of nowhere, Ryan Cohen abruptly sold his entire position. He dumped nearly 10% of the entire company onto the market, walking away with an estimated $178 million in pure profit. You can imagine what happened next. The everyday retail investors, the regular people who bought into the hype because of a tweet, were left holding the bag. The stock price completely, absolutely collapsed under the weight of Cohen's massive sell-off. But the story doesn't end with a bad trade. This sudden, brutal drop triggered a massive class action lawsuit. It was filed by an investor group called Bratia SPRL. And if you look at the court documents, the lawsuit wasn't just filed against Ryan Cohen. It was filed directly against the Bed Bath & Beyond Corporation itself and its top-level executives. So what were they actually accusing them of? The crucial point is the specific allegation made in these legal documents. The lawsuit alleged a classic illegal pump and dump scheme. For those who might not know, a pump and dump is when a group attempts to boost the price of a stock through false or misleading recommendations, purely so insiders can sell off their own shares at that artificially inflated price. The lawsuit claimed that Cohen and company insiders secretly coordinated all of this online hype. The allegation was that they deliberately manipulated the stock's value, using the internet as a tool, with the cold, pre-planned intention of dumping their shares at the absolute peak, fully knowing it would leave everyday retail investors with essentially worthless stock. And here is where the story takes its darkest, most disturbing turn, because it wasn't just Ryan Cohen who sold his shares. According to the lawsuit, there was someone else involved on the inside. The company's very own chief financial officer, a man named Gustavo Arnal, was allegedly part of this coordinated exit plan. On August 16th, right as the internet frenzy was hitting its absolute boiling point, Arnal quietly sold 42,513 shares of his own Bed Bath & Beyond. He cashed out for over $1 million right before the entire thing burned to the ground. Part 4. A tragic fall. The hype bubble burst instantly. The internet moved on. But for the company, the reality was terrifying. This brings us to the collision course between the online meme world, severe financial allegations, and an incredibly dark physical reality. With the stock cratering back to single digits and the company bleeding cash faster than ever, management was in a state of pure panic.
In late August, they were forced to announce a desperate slash-and-burn turnaround plan. They executed sweeping, brutal layoffs, instantly cutting 20% of their corporate and supply chain staff. They announced the immediate closure of 150 physical stores across the country. They were even eliminating top executive roles, like the chief operating officer, just to literally keep the lights on for another month.
And then the breaking point finally arrived. The pressure of the failing company, the massive class action lawsuit naming him personally as a defendant, the public scrutiny, it all coalesced. On September 2nd, 2022, just days after those massive corporate layoffs were announced to the world, CFO Gustavo Arnal tragically jumped to his death. He was the 52-year-old man. He fell from the balcony of his 18th floor apartment, and that apartment was located in that exact same Tribeca skyscraper, the 56 Leonard Jenga Tower that we looked at the very beginning of this explainer. The digital meme had manifested into a horrific, tangible tragedy. Following this devastating, highly public tragedy, the company's fate was sealed. The internal morale was destroyed, the leadership was in chaos, and the money was gone. Bed Bath & Beyond finally filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Think about this massive fall from grace. A brand that was once a pristine, debt-free juggernaut valued at $17 billion saw its market value absolutely crater to just $136 million. The American retail giant had finally, permanently fallen.
Part 5. The digital aftermath. So what happens after a collapse like that? What remains of all those stores you and I used to shop in? During the bankruptcy proceedings, the company's remaining assets were put up for auction. But the physical footprint, the massive stores in every strip mall in America, nobody wanted them. Instead, the only thing of value left was the ghost of the brand, the Bed Bath & Beyond name. Its massive trove of customer data and its intellectual property were purchased. And they were bought for just $21.5 million by the online retailer Overstock.com.
And this exposes the bizarre, almost dystopian reality of modern retail and corporate finance. It's a stark, incredibly surreal contrast. On one side, you have the physical, human reality. 360 massive brick-and-mortar stores sitting completely empty, gathering dust. 14,000 real workers who lost their livelihoods, and a tragic death in Manhattan. But on the other side, you have the digital ghost. Overstock.com simply took the name, slapped it on their own website, and rebranded themselves as BedBathAndBeyond.com. So if you go online today, the brand technically lives on, completely detached from the physical reality, the empty stores, and the human cost that actually made it famous.
We've covered a massive journey today, from a nostalgic $17 billion peak to the wild, chaotic frenzy of meme stock trading, all the way to a deeply tragic 18th floor fall in New York City. The butterfly effect is real, and it leaves us with a haunting, vital question to consider. The next time you see a meme stock trending online, the next time you see your feed flooded with rocket ships and moon emojis and promises of easy money, when internet hype manipulates a real-world company, when the digital world bends physical reality, who really pays the price when the memes stop being funny? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this helped connect the dots for you on this incredible story.